Hello, today I wanted to do my 2018 TBR. So the books I want to read or I should say 2019. The books I wanted to read in 2019. So I got a ton of books in 2018. I don't have enough time to read them all, even though I wish I did. So here are some of the books that I would like to read in the next year. So I only chose about 8 because I also want to read all the ones in my most anticipated list, if you haven't seen that video. But yeah, here are some of the books. So the first 2 books are arcs, and the first one I want to read is The Girl He Used to Know by Tracy Gervais Graves. This is a story about 2 people who they were in love, and then something happens and they were apart, and then after like 10 years they get back in touch together. I always like those type of stories. It reminds me of like Persuasion, so I wanted to read it and I hope it's good. The next book I wanted to read is a big one, but it's on my most anticipated. It's Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody and Joanne Rendell. It's a big book, but it's a retelling of Les Miserables, and I love the story of Les Miserables, and I was very excited to be able to get this arc. So I wanted to read it, and then hopefully give you guys a review of it. So that's one. The next one I wanted to do was The Last Day of the Romanovs, Tragedy at Ekaterinburg by Helen Rappaport. I read another story, a book by Helen Rappaport. I forget if it was this year or the year before, the Romanov sisters, and I really enjoyed that one. And then this one really focuses on just the last days of the Russian Tsar. So she did really good research on the other book, so I wanted to read this one. The next book I wanted to read, I hope I get to it. It's by Charles Dickens, and it's Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens. It's a book that I like the storyline. It kind of follows the story of 2 girls and how they find love, but just like in the backdrop of London in like the 1800s. And I read A Tale of Two Cities, and it's very hard to sometimes get through Charles Dickens. So this is kind of one of my challenge books to see if I can hopefully get through it. So Charles Dickens, Our Mutual Friend. I saw the movie and I really liked the movie, so that's kind of what made me want to read the book. The next 4 are fantasies, since I like fantasies. I want to read The Devil's Thief by Lisa Maxwell. I read The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell, and I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to read this one. You get like magicians and like real magic, and it was just really good. So I hope this is the second book in the series, so I hope that it's really good as well. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kowalja. I have been hearing lots of good stuff about this book. A lot of book boxes send fantasy books, and a lot of them are like just like eh. But this has been getting so many good reviews that I really want to read it. It says that a lot of times the description people give is if you get like anime series or manga, this is in a novel form. This is kind of how it would be. So I always found that kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And so yeah, just wanted to read that. The next one is Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir. This is the 3rd book in her Ember in the Ashes series. I really liked her Ember in the Ashes, the first 2 books of the series. I didn't get a chance to read this one this year, and I really want to read it because I think the next one is coming out in the next like 4 or 5 months. So hopefully I can read it. And then I think it's just 4 books, so then that would be like the whole collection. So I really, this is such a good series that I want to make sure I read it. So it kind of takes place like in an alternate universe Roman times, and there's like magic in there, and yeah, so it's really good. And the last one is one I got a long time ago. I started reading it, and I put it down for some reason, but I really want to get to it. It is A City of Brass by C.J. S.A. Sherbotsky. I wanted to read this for the longest time. I started reading it. It's kind of like a fantasy Aladdin kind of era type of thing. I started reading it, and it was a really good start to the book. But I think there was like another book that came in and kind of distracted me. There are just genies, flying carpets, all that stuff. So yeah, I want to read this one. So all these really big books I want to read in 2019. So hopefully I get to them. But yes, I kind of watch these videos again to remind myself which books that I need to read. So, but these are the ones that are like the top ones that I definitely want to read. Anyway, what are some of the books that you want to read in 2019? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this little video. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.